guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the latest immigration level plans which has been recently announced by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and also our IRCC Minister Mr. Mark Miller.
Today we're announcing that we will reduce the number of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years, which will result in a pause in the population growth over the next 2 years.
So guys, in Canada, each year, the IRCC Minister, who is Mark Miller, introduces or announces the immigration level plans, which basically talks about the targets of immigration in next 3 years. And that is what has been put out recently, just before Diwali. So now that we have all the information that we need, let's dive into details of all the information which has been put out recently. So as you already know, this is immigration level plan. So obviously there are two main sectors of the immigration which has been targeted: TRs and PRs, basically temporary residents and permanent residents. And since I myself am an international student here in Canada, I first want to talk about all the temporary residents and what are the new targets that have been set out by our IRCC Minister Mark Miller. So guys, every year the immigration level plans, they talk about targets for the immigration. Usually permanent resident targets are discussed and announced, but this time this is the first time when they have introduced targets for temporary residents, specifically for international students and temporary foreign workers. So guys, you already know about all the latest announcements which have been done related to international students, which was given out since January 2024 and even till September 2024. I have talked about in detail about all those announcements in my videos. I've linked right here in the I button, and I've also added all the links in the description below. Do go and check it out to know about all the details which have been given out so far. But now let's talk about who all are impacted under TR targets, which is temporary resident targets. So basically, if you are international student, if you are the one who's gonna apply for PGWP, which obviously falls under IMP, which is International Mobility Program, and TFW, which is the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. So everyone who is planning to come to Canada under these programs, be it IMP, be it TFWP, be it international student, are gonna impact by the targets which have been put out recently. So the announcement for 2025 is the target for number of temporary residents is about 6.7 lakhs, and then in 2027 it's gonna reduce further down to 5.1 lakhs, and then in 2027 it will go a slight up to 5.7 lakhs. So they are planning to do a reduction in the number of temporary residents, and as Mr. Mark Miller himself mentioned, they are planning to have about 5 to 7% of reduction in temporary residents here in Canada. Now the most recent announcement, which I already made a video about, where they talked about the PGWP, the English proficiency requirement for PGWP, and all the other things that they have mentioned. The one thing which is being mentioned here is that it is only for new arrivals. So they slightly mentioned about it like it's only for new arrivals, but we don't know sure yet, like if the spousal open work permit for master's programs, which may not be of minimum length of 16 months, are they gonna impact students who are already here in Canada and doing the masters, or will they impact only the students who are gonna come later after this announcement and then opt for a master's program which may be less than 16 months of minimum program requirement? So all these details are not given, but one thing which is sure after looking at it is maybe it's only for those students who are gonna come up later in the future. The target which has been put out for temporary residents, for this 45% accounts for international students. So if we talk about 6.73 lakh of temporary residents target in 2025, out of it 45% will be international students. So that would amount about 3.03 lakhs in 2025, and again they are planning, like when they say 5.16 lakhs in 2026, then the percentage of international student will be even higher. It will be about 59%, and then later on in 2027 it will be 56%. Another important thing which is mentioned in this announcement is, although they have set the targets for temporary residents, they have not set the targets for all the visitors who are coming on temporary resident visa or electronic travel authorizations, even the study permit extensions and the study and work permit applications which are filed within Canada. Now that we have discussed that there is gonna be a targeted reduction in temporary residents admissions in 2025-2027 plan, obviously there is also reduction or decrease in permanent residency which is targeted for 2025-2027. Now the overall PR admissions in 2025 has been targeted to 3,95,000 3,80,000, and then in 2026 it's gonna be 3,80,000 and 3,65,000 in 2027. Now, whenever we talk about permanent residency, there are four main immigrant categories which is usually talked about: the economic immigrant, immigrant sponsored by family, refugee, total humanitarian and compassionate, and others which lie under it. Now, a greater share of economic admissions are allocated under federal economic priority to skilled workers with a focus on some critical sectors like healthcare, skilled trades, and a few other where there is a labor shortage. Another important point for permanent residency is the in Canada focus, which means now in 2025 the greater focus will be on all the people who are already in Canada as a student or as a worker. It is anticipated that more than 40% of the people who are in Canada as a student or worker will be targeted to receive permanent residency, unlike all the other years that we might have heard news about where international students and workers were afraid of not getting permanent residencies within their period of approved stay here in Canada. So now if we talk about the numbers of all the students and workers who are in Canada and basically can look out for PR in 2025, 26 and 27. So let's look at the numbers. In 2025, the target is 82,980. In 2026, it's going to be 75,830, and in 2027, it's going to be 70,930. Now you might be thinking, what exactly is economic immigrant? So this category basically includes all the immigrants who have been selected to contribute to Canada's economy through their abilities to meet labor market needs, to own or manage a business, to make a substantial investment, to create their own employment, or to also meet the needs of the provincial labor market. Now, the eligible candidates for 2025, 2026 and 2027 PR will be those candidates with some specific skills, training and language abilities. The 2025 priority categories included these three main categories. The first one is healthcare occupations, the second one is trade occupations, and the third one is French language proficiency. Now, these categories are basically established every year, and each year it keeps on changing as per the demands and needs of each province and Canada as a whole country. Now, moving on to the next immigrant category, which is immigrant sponsored by the family. And the family reunification, basically the target still continues to be 22% of the total permanent residency targets which has been finalized. Now let's talk about one of the major changes which gonna impact and maybe prove helpful for all those people who learn or are already French speaking and are seeking for PR in Canada. Now, according to the level plan, immigration level plan, the proportion of French speaking permanent residents outside of Quebec will account for about 8.5% in 2025. So basically, if we say that there are gonna be about 3,95,000 permanent residents in 2025, then overall French-speaking permanent residents outside of Quebec will account for about 29,325. And then similarly, it will account for about 9.5% in 2026 and 10% in 2027. And if we talk about within Quebec, then according to the Canada-Quebec Accord, they have already tabled out their immigration level plans for 2024-2025, which was about 56,500 permanent residents per year in 2024 and 2025. And they're gonna table out their next immigration level plans later in fall 2025, and that will be updated in upcoming year. Another thing that IRCC Minister Mark Miller talked about is about, since now many people are moving to different provinces other than Ontario and BC to seek out for PRs, there is even a greater pressure on all those other provinces, because now everyone is burdened with the number of increase and influx of new residents. Hence, in order to cater to housing, healthcare and social reforms, there is a need for all the provinces to come out and talk about what exactly are their needs about the labor market and also the work in general in the provinces, so that the federal government can plan for more reforms in order to help all the provinces with their needs with respect to the labor market. Now, you might be thinking why there are so many announcements recently in this particular year, specifically in 2024, and one of the biggest reasons is obviously the upcoming federal elections in 2025, and because of that, obviously these all were expected. And also it's high time, considering the increase in pressure on housing, on healthcare systems, and also the restlessness among people who are already in Canada, specifically Canadian citizens. There might be even more further announcements later in future in order to ensure that there is streamlined immigration here in Canada, but still maintain the diversity that it needs to be. So yeah guys, that's all for today's video. I have linked the announcement in the description as well. If you want to go and check it out and read thoroughly, you can do so. And with any other further update from the government, obviously I'll keep on updating and making videos for you guys. So if you like this video, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, add your comments in the comment section below. Until next time guys, bye.